Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to talk today about EOS, which is stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. I'm not sure how familiar people are with this concept. I thought that it might make sense and provide some ideas and new tools that people can leverage in order to reach business agility. So this is me. I'm the founder and CEO of Agile Sparks, and I like to describe myself as a lifelong learner. I like to learn, I like to read, and keep evolving my understanding. And I still have a lot to learn, of course. The purpose of this talk is to understand or identify a problem of a disconnect between strategy and the execution level in organizations. I'm going to talk about it and show some research about it, and introduce EOS as a possible tool that can help solve this problem. Of course, there are many tools, but EOS is a tool that I think is worthwhile looking at. I'm operating under the assumption that you're all familiar with Agile and SAFe. I will not talk about it. So for me, everybody on this call or on this talk is already familiar with the Agile concepts. So Agile has become mainstream, no doubt about it. This is just an excerpt from a recent State of the Agile survey that was done in 2020, and you can see that 95%, so most, if not all, of the companies that were surveyed say that they have some experience with Agile in going to different degrees, but it's no doubt that Agile has become mainstream. It's no longer a newcomer. And there is also a lot of success reported with Agile adoption. So this is again from the same report. We see that success includes customer satisfaction and on-time delivery and improved quality and business objective achieved and productivity, and a lot of stuff is being improved with Agile. We can attest to it even from our own examples at Agile Sparks. We see that our customers are able to be more predictable and increase their throughput and reduce their cases and improve quality and so on and so forth. The planning time is cut by half. So there is a lot of success. But if you look at the same report again and you understand that the areas in the organization or the different departments that are using Agile are mostly software development and IT, you understand that Agile has not really reached the organization as a whole. So we see that in operations and marketing and HR and sales and so on, the adoption is really low. And if you look at another page from the same report, you see that if you look at the reasons for going Agile, most of the language here is about project delivery and engineering. So accelerate software delivery, increase productivity, software quality, and so on and so forth. The whole language is geared towards IT and software. But we know that in organizations, CEOs and leadership care about stuff that is not necessarily software. So they care about sales, they care about cash flows and budgets, they care about hiring people and keeping them in the company, they care about the ability to predict business results, both short-term and long-term. They care about aligning their organization together and more things like that, in truth, and to be honest, Agile doesn't really address these issues. So this is a reason why agility hits the ceiling in many cases. So we start a journey, but for some reason we're not able to go up and across in the organization. And this is because leadership is not really involved or committed. Business people such as sales, finance, legal, and so on, they don't buy into the Agile language. So for them, talking about sprints and talking about continuous delivery is not going to cut it. So budgeting is mostly still annual. Yes, in some organizations it's done on a quarterly basis, but the language is still pretty much waterfall or traditional. Contracts in many cases are mostly fixed. We keep running into this problem when we work with our customers. Their customers have a fixed mindset, and it's very difficult to break away with it. And when management decides about a vision, it's in many cases slow to reach, if at all, and affect the execution layer, and vice versa. Feedback from the field is slow to reach management. So I don't know how many of you connect to this image where we have clear vision and future direction at the top, and the people that are doing the job have clear idea about what they do on the day-to-day action, but there is some kind of a disconnect between these two layers. There is a survey that was done in MIT a couple of years ago that people were asked, can they name the top priorities of the company? And from the results, you can clearly see that even top management, only about half of the people can know about the strategy. So the headline for the research said, "No one knows your strategy, not even your top leaders." And of course, percent of top management knows about the top priorities. So the phenomena that I was describing is called an Erez sandwich, where you have a loaf of bread at the top, which represents people. The top management knows about the future direction and the strategy, and the lower level know about what they need to do, but there is nothing in the middle. So this term of Erez sandwich is a big problem. And I don't know why my presentation is not moving forward. Okay, and if we look at the agile planning horizons, and this is actually a slide taken out of SAFe, which is the scaled agile framework, which again I assume you're all familiar with. You see that most of the planning and the focus is on the PI level, so quarterly look. So we have daily plans and iteration plans and PI plan. We might look even a few PIs ahead, but we're not really connected to vision. So what I was trying to say, and I hope I managed to at least drive the point, is that agile is not enough, because adopting agile, even SAFe LPM, so lean portfolio management, doesn't always get us to the business mindset. So the shift to agile doesn't mean that we started to think in outcome-based mindset and we think about our customer satisfaction. And there is also more to an organization than a portfolio of value streams. Here again, I'm referring to what SAFe talks about. So of course, the value stream is an organization that produces value, but something is missing. So just to summarize, something is missing. Until now, I'm defining the problem. So business people are outside of engineering and are not really connected. There is Erez sandwich, and we don't have a good cadence and a mechanism to tightly track implementation and strategy alignment, and vice versa. We don't get the feedback fast enough to management. So how do we solve that? So obviously there are many ways to solve it. Some ideas may include OKRs, and we saw some presentations about companies who are doing different things. I want to present today EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. This is a system, concepts and practical tools that aim at covering all the aspects of running a business that is growing. It takes a strategy and the vision and locks them down in 90-day chunks, so a quarter chunk. And it has a very good way of holding people accountable to the mission, which I'm going to describe really soon. The best book to read about EOS is called Traction. It's by Gino Wickman, who is the person behind the movement, the EOS movement. And today, EOS tools are used by over 80,000 companies around the world, in any entrepreneurial company across different industries and business models and so on. I will just add that this is mostly in the US. So most of these 80,000 companies are in the US, but EOS is trying to expand globally now. So this is EOS. So what does EOS stand for? This is Gino Wickman, the person that came up with it. EOS model advocates that the organization needs to have a clear vision shared by everyone. So it's not that organizations or leaders don't have a vision, but they sometimes don't agree on it. And sometimes it's not mentioned very explicitly. So we need to have this clear vision, and we need everybody to know about it. We need to have the right people in the right seats. I'm going to elaborate this as some kind of a slogan, but I'm going to say a few words about how EOS sees it. We want to monitor numbers on a weekly basis. And this means that we have goals, we have a strategy, and we track it continuously to see if we're on track or not. We identify and solve problems and issues promptly and quickly. We document our processes, so everybody, again, is clear about what needs to be done, and we do it so everybody can follow the processes. And people and teams have clear priorities, and we build an environment of trust and communication and transparency, so each team in person can be accountable. So this is basically the premises that EOS model advances. It includes 8 components. Going clockwise, it starts by vision. Then there is data that we monitor. The processes that I mentioned, we want them to be documented and followed by all. Then we have traction, which contains rocks, which is a central notion that we're going to cover in a little while. It covers the meeting cadence. We have issues that we solve, and we have the people aspect. So these 6 components are what the EOS model is comprised of. We're going to talk about a few of them, and a few we're just going to brief skim through. I want you to remember something. It's very important. All models are wrong, but some are useful. So the EOS model is wrong, of course. It didn't come down from Mount Sinai, so to speak. And the idea is just to look at the ideas and try to see if there is anything that you can adopt from it. So don't be dogmatic and don't take anything literally, even though it's very prescriptive, as you will see soon. We need to keep in mind that we just want to be inspired and take the good ideas and implement them in a way that is proper for us. So this is just a general disclaimer. So going to the first component, which is vision. So as I mentioned before, EOS maintains that a vision should be clear to everybody in the organization. And this is because we want everybody to row in the same direction. Everybody can think about a boat. If people don't know where they're going, they're just going to go in circles. And in order to identify and recognize our vision, EOS says that we need to answer 8 questions. And you're going to see that EOS is very prescriptive. So you have 8 questions, you have 6 components, and so on and so forth. And again, don't be dogmatic. But let's go through these 8 questions and see where they get us. So the leadership team needs to meet and agree on, first of all, our core values. Core values are, who are we as people? What would we like other people to say about us? And we saw an example earlier from OM2 when Ami and Karen spoke about their core values. So they identified it and made sure that everybody agreed on the values. It's very important to know who we are. Many organizations do that when they start, and when they grow, the message somehow gets diluted. So we start, our core focus is, what is our sweet spot? What is it that we deliver to the market? We are a bus service company. We deliver software that does X. What exactly is our go-to-market? What is it that we produce? The third question, and again, imagine the leadership team sitting together and agreeing for 10-year target. So why do we take 10 years? It can be 5, it can be 30. It's just a number that means that we're taking a bold, far-looking, not bound to current restrictions idea about what we want to be. Where do we want to be when we grow up? Where do we want to be in 10 years' time, which is a very long time, so we don't necessarily connect to our current limitations. Once we finalize this question, we're talking about our marketing strategy. Our marketing strategy means who are the people that we're talking to? Who is our target audience? Who are the people that we go to when we sell our products? The next question is our 3-year picture. So this is obviously derived from the 10-year target. And note that we're saying picture because we would like people to really see in their mind's eye to see where they're going to be. and envision what we're going to do and how is it going to look in 3 years. An interesting point is that when people talk and management talks about the 10-year target, sometimes they put on unrealistic vision on their mind. And when they start to look at it on a 3-year filter, people say, oh, it's impossible for us to grow that fast, or they start to vet it against, common sense and growth percentage and so on. So it's important to start with a 3 years plan, 10 years plan, and then go to the 3-year. And of course, you knew where I was going. Now we're talking about the 1-year plan, which is derived from 3 years plan. So things become more and more concrete. We start to think about it as something that we really need to get actionable about and achieve in 1 year. The next point is our rocks. So rocks, and I'm going to explain where the name came from, are our quarterly targets that enable us to reach our 1-year plan. And the last point is our issues. Anything that stands in our way to achieve our 10-year plan, our 3-year plan, our 1-year plan, our rocks, anything that is an issue comes to the table. So by asking these 8 questions and agreeing on them, and of course this is done in an offsite that takes usually 2 days, we are able to crystallize our vision, and then we can take it as leadership team to the entire organization. So this is the vision component of the EOS model. We can see an example, and there is, by the way, EOS provides a lot of templates and Excels and PDFs that you can use as an example. So you see, you document here core values. So for example, flexible, respectful, spirited, team, whatever. Then our core focus, our 10-year target. Please note that we're talking in very specific numbers. So what you see in this example, in 10 years, we're talking about a certain revenue, a certain percent of margin. We try to think about how many people we're going to be, how many departments, and so on and so forth. Then we're talking about the marketing strategy. These are the people that we go to. The 3 years plan, we put a date on it, and we envision how is it going to look like in terms of revenue, profitability, how many clients, how many downloads, and so on and so forth. Moving down to the last 3 questions, this is our 1-year plan. We have the goals for the year, and then we have rocks. Now, note something. Can you hear me? And I just got a message that my connection is.
We can hear you.
Okay,
we can
good.
hear you fine.
So rocks are actually the first time that we see the column who, which means that every rock has an owner that is accountable for the rock. And this is something that we're going to talk a little bit later about. Everybody has a number, and a number has a person that is accountable for it. And last but not least, we talk about the issues list. So the issues list that we talk about at this level, which is an annual or quarterly meeting, are a list of issues that we need to handle in order to achieve our goals. Rocks. So rocks, as I said, is our quarterly focus. And this comes from Stephen Covey, who is the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one thing that maybe many of you saw was the video where you try to fit in rocks into a jar. And the first attempt is you first put in some gravel, some sand inside the jar, and then the rocks don't fit in. And then when you do it in the second round, you put the big rocks first, and then somehow the gravel fits itself around it. The analog of the gravel is the day-to-day urgent things that we have to handle, the phone calls, the urgent messages from clients, our bugs, or whatever. And this can kill our time. And if we don't focus on putting the big rocks first, we're never going to get to achieving the rocks. So we make the big rocks urgent by committing to them on a quarterly basis. So we put the big rocks first, and then we're able to deliver them and do what's important. So a rock is usually a company has between 3, a company or an organization or a unit has between 3 and 7 rocks, which are the most important things to achieve in the next 90 days. They need to be smart, so specific. They need to be stipulated in a way that is very clear and measurable and attainable and realistic. It has to be some kind of a stretch, but it is realistic. It's timely because we commit to it on a quarterly level. Some examples may be launch a new page for a marketing service or increase trial paid ratio from 30 to 50%. So these are just examples of quarterly rocks. I'm moving to the next component, which is data. So EOS maintains that you have to have some kind of a company scorecard. So a scorecard, imagine that you're disconnected from your business and all you can have is one phone call or one view at a scorecard, and you need to be able to have a good pulse of what your business looks like. So there is a number of measurable things that you need to look at. For example, weekly revenue, cash balance. These are some examples. You can think about examples that fit your own organization. And we are following on this scorecard on a weekly basis. Again, notice the who. So we have to have every measurable has a person that is accountable for it. And EOS even goes further and says that everyone needs to have a number. So it can be even people that don't necessarily produce code or sales. Everybody needs to have a number because we want things to be very tight and we need to know that we are driving ourselves toward the goal. Tracked weekly. Next component is traction. So this is very important to look. We have meetings that happen on a weekly basis, quarterly basis, annually, and we discuss our vision and the 3-year plan and the 1-year plan every year. We discuss our quarterly rocks every quarter, and we have our meetings every week. And this means that we keep a very tight loop between our vision and our execution. As I mentioned, rocks are 3 to 7 most important things to achieve in the quarter. Everybody should have rocks. The meeting pulse, so we have quarterly meetings, annuals, and weekly, and we set the meetings to be in the same day, so in the same time in the year, so everybody can attend easily and we don't need to have a hassle when we set them up. Moving on to the next component, and I'm going to go really quickly because of time. So EOS discussed about having the right people at the right seats. So what do they mean by right people? So right people is people that adhere or follow or are aligned with our core values, plus people analyzers, which I'm going to show in the next slide. This means that we have the right person. And I'm not sure where you lost me. I'll go quickly through this slide. So right people are people that have our core values and meet the bar of our people analyzer, which I'm going to show you. And the right seats means people that have unique ability and they belong in the right place in the accountability chart. I'm going to show you the accountability chart and the people analyzer in the next slide. So what is a people analyzer? Remember when we talked about our core values? So we take all the people, let's say that this is a session that we're doing with the leadership team and each unit can do it with its own people. So we put all the different core values on the columns. So you see, be humbly confident, grow or die, and so on. And we put pluses, minuses, or plus minus. So a plus is when a person exhibits this core value most of the time. A minus is when they don't exhibit this quality. And plus minus is that when sometimes people do that. And we can agree as leadership that we need to have, 80% pluses or maybe no minuses. So this is something of a people analyzer. It helps us recruit people that share our core values. I want to talk about something that is called accountability chart. So EOS says that basically every organization needs to have these functions. So somebody needs to sell our product, somebody needs to produce our product, somebody needs to get the money flowing, and we have an integrator that can resolve conflicts between the different functions. And sometimes we have a visionary that is leading the, bringing ideas and creativity to the table. And we identify in each role the responsibilities of that person that is heading that role. And we put people on the accountability chart. It's not exactly the org chart. It talks about how people are accountable. And when we put people on the accountability chart, and by the way, Agile and DevOps are mostly concerned with the operations part. As we mentioned before, they don't really go into the sales and finances. and other organizational-wide things. And when we put things in the organizational chart, we look at another aspect. We say, are these people GWC? And GWC means a person in the right role gets it, wants it, and has capacity to do it. That means he gets his job, he wants to do his job, and has capacity. So this completes the people analyzer that we can do. It's a very simple tool. Of course, as I said, all models are wrong, but we can get some idea about how to filter and find out problems. And I can tell you, for example, from my own experience, sometimes at one session that I did with the management team, one of the core values was being enablers, because they wanted to enable other groups in the organization to use their products or their internal products. And so one of the core values was we are enablers, and one person, one important manager there just didn't share that value. He wanted to dictate, he wanted to lead. So this immediately surfaced the problem that this person was not the right person at the right seat. And of course, the accountability chart, the simple accountability chart that I showed, is evolving with time. In every annual meeting, we ask, is this the right structure to get us to the next level? And we evolve. Different roles can break, different functions can break into different other functions. So this thing is dynamic, but we're always asking, is this the structure to take us to the next level? And are there the right people in the right seats? This is very important to do. I'm almost completing to describe the EOS issues. We have 3 levels of issues. One issues is in the quarterly annual level missions. And then we have the weekly issues list. And then we have the departmental issues list, which every department can have its own list. There is a process called IDS, which is identify, discuss, and solve, which I'm not going to talk about, but this is how EOS sees things. Processes. We want to identify our core processes. Every organization has several, not too many, core processes, how we hire people, how we produce, how we do deployment, and so on and so forth. You want to document them by taking the 80-20 rule, meaning you want to document the 20% of processes that bring you 80% of the value. You want to package it in a visual way, hopefully, and then everybody should follow it. Nobody in the organization should say, yes, there is a process, but I'm not following it. You want to create clarity and everybody is following it, and then you can manage it. So in short, EOS provides a way to connect vision to traction and create a healthy connection between the different departments. And as I said earlier, EOS, by this connection between the vision and traction, can help fill the air sandwich problem that I described before, because the upper loaf of bread is connected tightly to the lower loaf of bread, so we provide content for that sandwich. If we take EOS plus Agile, we get a much improved way to achieve our efficiency and effectiveness. If we look at Agile, all the good things that we know about Agile, backlogs and structures, independent teams and continuous planning, flow, delivery, visibility, and so on. And on the left-hand side, we can see lean portfolio management loop and the Agile planning loop. And we add EOS, which brings to the table clear vision shared by everyone, a disciplined monitoring process of numbers. We monitor rocks and we monitor our scorecard. We bring radical focus of priorities and bidirectional feedback from management to execution. So these two together gets us to a better place. So EOS complements Agile. Again, this is not the only way to solve the air sandwich problem, but when we combine EOS and Agile, we get everything that is good in Agile, plus we get rocks, which are quarterly business objectives, which become our PI business objectives. And we have bidirectional briefing, learning, and adjustments. We got a rigorous strategy execution alignment and tracking. And we get everybody rowing in the same direction, unlike the picture that I've just shown.